the lost future of the SnyderVerse. It all began with a vision, Zack Snyder's dream of a DC cinematic universe unlike any other. A universe where heroes didn't just wear capes, but carried the weight of their past, where battles weren't just won with fists, but with sacrifice and consequence. From Man of Steel to Batman vs. Superman, Snyder was building something bigger, a saga that would challenge the very idea of heroism. But then, it was all taken away. The SnyderVerse was left unfinished, its final chapters erased before they could be told. The fall of Justice League. Justice League 2017 was meant to be the turning point, the moment where the greatest heroes of Earth stood together against an incoming storm. But what audiences got was something else entirely. Snyder's vision was ripped apart, his dark, emotional storytelling replaced with forced humor and rushed CGI. When Zack Snyder's Justice League 2021 finally arrived, it revealed what could have been, a universe far more epic, brutal, and tragic than anyone imagined. But this was only the beginning of his plan. First, the rise of Darkseid and the Knightmare future. Had Snyder continued, the Justice League wouldn't have just fought together. They would have lost together. Darkseid was coming. His war on Earth was inevitable. In the planned sequel, Superman would fall under the control of the anti-life equation, turning against the very people he swore to protect. Lois Lane's death would break him, and the world would descend into chaos. Batman would lead a broken resistance, fighting alongside the Flash, Mira, Cyborg, and Deathstroke in a desperate attempt to change the future. The only way out? Time travel. The Flash would run back in time, giving Bruce Wayne one last chance to save Lois and stop Superman's fall. But the cost? Batman's own life. In the final battle, Batman would sacrifice himself to save Superman, breaking Darkseid's hold and leading to the ultimate showdown, Superman versus Darkseid, in a fight to decide the fate of the universe. But this wasn't the only story Snyder had planned. Several projects were set to expand his vision of the DCEU. And then, they were all cancelled. Now we will talk about the abandoned stories, the films that never happened. Ben Affleck's Batman solo film. Ben Affleck wasn't just meant to play Batman. He was supposed to direct and star in his own solo film, a psychological thriller that would have explored the darkest corners of Gotham. Deathstroke as the main villain. The film would have followed Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, as he systematically tore down Bruce Wayne's life, seeking vengeance for being exposed by Batman in Justice League. Arkham Asylum influence. Affleck described it as a Hitchcockian thriller, where Batman would question his own sanity as Deathstroke pushed him to the edge. Brutal combat. This film was set to deliver some of the most intense and grounded Batman action ever seen. But after the failure of Justice League 2017 and Affleck stepping away, this film was scrapped, its ideas scattered with parts of it influencing the Batman 2022 instead. The Flash trilogy. Ezra Miller's Flash was never supposed to be a one-and-done character. Zack Snyder had planned an entire trilogy for Barry Allen, focusing on time travel, the Speed Force, and the Reverse Flash as the ultimate villain. Reverse Flash manipulating the timeline. Unlike the Flash 2023 film, where Barry caused the timeline shift, the original trilogy would have shown Eobard Thawne pulling the strings from behind the scenes, manipulating Barry's life to make him suffer. The Flash creating the Justice League. One of the films would have shown Barry accidentally creating the very team he would later join, making him the glue of the DCEU. Flashpoint would have had lasting consequences. Instead of a simple time reset, Flashpoint in Snyder's plan would have permanently changed the DC universe, making each film feel like it had real stakes. With Snyder gone, this entire arc was abandoned, in favor of a simpler version of Flashpoint that ultimately led nowhere. Man of Steel 2. The Superman we never got. Henry Cavill's Superman was always meant to continue his journey. Man of Steel 2 was set to introduce Brainiac as the next major villain, pitting Clark Kent against a cosmic-level threat for the first time. Superman's evolution into the ultimate hero, after being distrusted in Batman v Superman and resurrected in Justice League, Man of Steel 2 would have shown a world that finally embraced Superman, only for him to face his greatest test. Supergirl's introduction, Kara Zor-El, would have been introduced, expanding the Kryptonian mythology beyond just Clark. The return of Lex Luthor. Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor would have played a bigger role, possibly manipulating Brainiac to take control of Earth. This film was never made, and instead of a sequel, Cavill was silently removed from the role, with DC moving in an entirely new direction. A universe without an ending. The SnyderVerse wasn't just a series of movies. It was a story about gods, power, and redemption. A story that was never allowed to end. To this day, fans fight to restore it, demanding the final chapters be told. But with each passing year, the question lingers. What if Snyder's vision had been completed? Would DC have had its own Infinity Saga? Would Batman have gotten the send-off he deserved? Would Superman have become the symbol of hope Snyder always intended? We'll never know. Because in the end, the greatest tragedy of the SnyderVerse is that it was never given a chance to finish.